Live from the Talking Joe studios,
it's Talking Joe with Chief and Chris. Hey, it's me, the Chief Doggy Dog, joined as always by my buddy.
The Snoop Doggy Gnostic 80. How's it going, buddy?
Yeah, it's going good. Trying something new today. Standing up.
Yeah, congratulations.
Yeah. Not in general, not in life, doing the podcast.
It's standing a miracle.
Yeah. I used to sit on a big fat boy beanbag, which was very comfortable, but the beanbag, I understand, is the nemesis of the podcaster, because you do one butt cheek shift in the wrong direction and you get all that. That's not ideal. And then I had to switch to put the beanbag over the loft hatch so as not to create too much noise downstairs. So that was gone. So then I was sitting on a little stool. I'll take a picture. It's a stool
that would
probably
stool?
that would probably be okay for a hobbit. It's absolutely tiny and my legs are getting cramped up.
Amazing.
So today I've decided to open the diaphragm up, stand, and see what happens there.
Nice.
Other than sorting out my podcasting arrangements for sitting/standing, the only other thing I've been doing is I fired up Desert Strike today. I finished Horizon Zero Dawn on the PS4.
Only took you 7 months to do that.
Only took me too long. And then I decided up in the loft this afternoon I would fire up Desert Strike on the Mega Drive and hadn't played it for years, and I was like, holy moly, this is amazing.
It is brilliant.
Got halfway through the first, I say halfway through, I don't know how far it was, I was a good chunk into the first level and then the screen froze, which is not ideal.
It's not ideal, is it?
I don't know if it's the cart or the Mega Drive, so I basically did the old trick I was used to, took the cart out, give it a blow on the cart, blow in the crack, so to speak, of the Mega Drive, popped it back in, flicked it on, ditched the joypad, the third-party joypad I was using.
You could have said joystick, and then at least I could have got another boing in there.
So I ditched the third-party joypad and I went for my joystick. It's the official Sega Mega Drive stick. weighty in my hands. Nice.
I've got to stop doing this. Sorry.
And yeah, I got through the first level and then started the second level. I was like, and then the difficulty there's no option of select. I love this old school game. There's no difficulty selector.
No, it just gets hard as you go on.
It's basically just press start. You can't select easy, medium, whatever. You're in. All you do is you select which winch man you want.
Yeah.
I selected some jockey straight out of grad school. They said something like he's a bit erratic with his guns, but in a tight spot or some other like that. Anyway,
it's Trevor, isn't it? It's Trevor.
So, yeah, good old Trev. Saved some guys, and then mission 2 though, the difficulty cranked right. They started chucking tanks at me.
I know, it's crazy.
Not expecting that. So, but I love it. Passcode. I have to write down a 10-string letter passcode to input. Do not lose that bit of paper. And I'm looking around for it now. I mean,
lost it.
Oh no, I see it. It's on the floor. It's on the floor next to our scores from ranking the last Yo-Joes on the last episode. But anyway,
they probably look very similar, actually, don't they?
More Desert Strike this week. But, that's about it for me. The only other thing I'm doing is tomorrow. I think I mentioned previously when we have these kind of 2-day away day sessions at work to do planning for the next 3 months at work. Last time we were at Spurs Stadium. This week, tomorrow, we're at Twickenham, the home of rugby.
Nice.
What have you been up to?
Swing low, sweet chariot.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking of music to put in the background whenever you say things. I have been... Actually, last week when we recorded, which hasn't come out yet, which people...
Oh, yeah,
like,
of course.
Honestly, this is ridiculous. Like, we're like two in the bag before anything is actually posted.
As always, this is... our now future.
No, it's our
and
past.
Your past. Oh yeah, wait a minute. It's their future.
Yeah.
And someone's present, and then our past.
Correct.
Something like that.
It's always somebody's present, isn't it? Let's face it. But well, yes, let's not get into Back to the Future movies. But yes, I forgot to mention last week on our last recording that I actually did do something quite interesting. I took my wife Kate and her friend Sarah and her husband Ben to, well, actually, Ben and I didn't go to this particular concert, but we took Kate and her friend Sarah to the Backstreet Boys concert in Kansas City. And, like, let me just be completely clear right now. I used to love the Backstreet Boys, and I still kind of do, so apologies again. I know everyone hates me on this show already, and I've just added even more to it by saying that I love the Backstreet Boys. But I was quite gutted that I didn't get a ticket to go along with them. But anyway, they went, had a great time, and they acted like, 8-year-olds again, or however old they were when Backstreet Boys were out. And Ben and I ended up walking down the road to a place called the Tapcade, which was basically a bar full of arcade machines. And it was amazing. We completed Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the standard arcade game. Turtles in Time was there, but all the joysticks were frozen because some douche weasel had been just pouring beer over it by accident, or drunk people in bars. They're not electronics and drunk people don't really mix, so it's an odd combo. But in any case, we also completed X-Men, and that was again amazing, like legendary computer games. I also managed to beat one team in NBA Jam with Stockton and Malone because I couldn't play with anyone. I tried playing with other teams, like I tried playing with the Bulls, but it's Grant and Pippen, and for some reason I just could not vibe with that duo. So I think when you're kind of thinking, Jordan really should be in this, but he can't be due to contractual reasons. In any case, we had a great evening while waiting for the girls to watch their amazing Backstreet Boys concert. We played for about 4 hours in this Tapcade, and then we had Burger King afterwards. Well, I had an Impossible Whopper because it's the new thing in town, and it's a vegan Whopper, and it's amazing. In any case, that's what I did that last 2 weekends ago, and completely forgot to mention it. So yes, that is what I've been up to, and since then not much, just working hard and doing lots of editing, and now we can talk about beverages, right?
Beverage for the show, do-do-do-do-do-do. Beverage for the show, do-do-do-do-do-do. Now I am gonna go, do-do, and drink my beverage for the show.
I am hungry for beverages, thirsty for beverages even. As always, I like to go over and above, so I've got 2 drinks.
I've got 2 with me today as well, just to piss you off.
Ease off, fella. That's my shtick.
Cheapy 2 drinks.
You can have 2, that's fine. My first one, because last week I had in fact, I've still got down here on the floor, let me just get it. This is how much I clean up in the loft. I've still got the empty can of Cosmo Sunrise cocktails that I had last week, and it's just lying there on its side in the loft on the floor.
Amazing.
So tidy up, Chief. And I've got the spilled cider as well. I've got a big wet patch on it, so it's not wet anymore. But anyway, I'm keeping that theme. I've got a spiced rum and cola, perfectly mixed white Jamaican rum, ready to drink by Sainsbury's. In fact, I say I don't because I've already drunk that. So,
you really are a cheating son of a on this show.
Anyway, I drunk that like I was just catching up on the issue 5 minutes before I called you. So actually I have got here, that's unopened, a Tango. I don't know if you have Tangos in the States.
No, I know what it is, but no, I don't think.
Yeah, so it was always okay. Everyone knows the Coke and the Pepsi battle. In the UK, it was the Tango versus the Fanta battle.
Yes,
they both started out just as orange orange sodas, orange fizzy pop.
I remember you got tangoed. I remember
that advert got banned. Yeah, they all got banned because kids would end up slapping each other in the face.
This fat guy covered in orange paint basically runs up to someone in an instant replay after they've had a drink of Tango and slaps them with both hands on both sides of the face as hard as they can.
Hello, Tony. I think we might use a video replay here.
Super, Ralph. Let's do that.
Oh, yes, we could be in for a quintessential Tango taste sensation here. Why, yes, Tony, let's look again.
Yes, Ralph, the big orange fella ran in from the left, and he gives him a good old slapping.
It just illustrates the bite and buzz of real oranges in Tango.
Yes, Ralph, super taste sensation, smashing drink, lovely.
You know when you've been tangoed.
And that's you. And it said you got tangoed, and then they had to ban it.
You know when you've been tangoed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because some fat guy smacks you in the face with both of his hands.
And then they all branched out and went, and same with Fanta, just orange, but they all went crazy flavours. And now I've got a Tango strawberry watermelon.
Ooh, strawtermelon.
What the deuce?
A waterberry.
That's it. Let's have a go. A quick aside here. I always wonder, like, when you're drinking,
Yeah.
do you lose out if you're taking too big a glug? Because surely your taste buds only really kick in after it's all gone down your gullet and then you start tasting it. So surely all that 5 glugs prior is just wasted taste. Am I making sense? Or am I talking complete
Effectively, I drink very quickly, and I think you are missing out on the enjoyment of it. Let's face it, and that's what you want to kind of stretch it out as much as possible.
There you go. That's my New Year's resolution in September. Drink slower.
Chiefs philosophises.
I'm saying this is a sugar-free one. I'm saying it's not all that.
Okay,
it's all right, but I wouldn't write home about it. What have you got? You
wouldn't write home about it, but you would do like an on-air review on a podcast about it.
Overlong segment, yeah.
I have another. It's another surprise from my wife, who like she enjoys these segments. She enjoys these segments, and she always tries to kind of get me something that might be new, different, etc., etc. And she's picked up this Tiesta tea, cold brew, Maui mango. A mango pineapple fruit tea with a splash of passion fruit. Immunity, it says underneath. I don't know what that means. It just makes you immune to like things.
Death, yeah.
Brewed with real loose leaf tea, 50 calories per bottle, non-GMO, verified, etc., etc. Let's give this a beast, shall we? Just have to snap. Hang on, let's see if this makes a noise. It's a tinny top. Like a big tinny lid and then a massive glass bottle. So let's try this, shall we? Well.
What were you expecting? Did you know what to expect or not?
I didn't know what to expect, but honestly, it's not. It's nice. It's like, it's not as... I for some reason, I always expect iced tea to be sweet. And this isn't necessarily sweet, but because the mango flavour's in there, it's almost like a faux sweetness, if that makes any sense. But it's very smooth. It's very, like, it goes down easy. And is yummers. Yeah, very into that. My other drink, because I've got 2 as well, douchebag, is...
I'm getting 3 next week.
Now, if you may remember, on the last episode, I had a Khalifa Farms probiotic dairy-free yoghurt drink.
Yeah, I'm trying to forget it already.
It was gorgeous. It was a strawberry flavour, and it was yummers. I have now got a mango cultured nut milk version. So let's get some of this cultured nut milk.
Same brand, different flavour, or completely...
exactly the same. It's just mango instead of strawberry.
Got it.
So let's give this a swiggins. Oh, yeah.
Yeah?
Oh, yeah.
What's your technique going to be? What's your technique going to be for this episode? Are you going to go glug for glug or what?
I don't know what that means.
No, for you got 2 drinks. Are you going... One sip out of each, or do you have to finish off a whole...
I see. Yeah. No, I'm probably going to rinse one and then rinse the other one in ridiculous fashion so that we can get on with
They're already finished, yeah?
There's nothing left.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's... I can't believe I wasted a spot using having 2 drinks. That's foolish. Ridiculous. Why do you do that?
I'm not doing it anymore. One only for me.
One a time. Guarantee next week you have 2. But let's move on.
Yeah. Well, you got good drinks. I got an okay drink. I'm standing up, so I'm feeling good. But we do unfortunately have to go
inside Chief's mind. Oh!
What is getting on my wick, grinding my gears, monkey in the wrench, annoying me, pissing me off this week? People who happen to be part of the conglomerate that is Virgin Media. No, it's not actually the people, it's actually Virgin Media itself. So Virgin Media is my supplier of broadband and TV package.
That wasn't a real fart, that was my mouth, but still.
It's Virgin because supposedly in my area they're the only one who can provide like fibre optic broadband, which will be supposedly faster than anyone else can provide. So I'm kind of I haven't tried anyone else, but I'm kind of
Yeah.
taking their word for it effectively, or the
Totally.
word of the internet.
Totally.
So anyway, because I get broadband through them, I get TV package through them. And the reason I'm annoyed with these clowns is I sat down this afternoon. I had recorded a load of stuff on the whatever the catch up, the record function, whatever it's called. And I thought I'm going to watch a movie this afternoon, and I'll discuss it with Chris. And I stuck on Rambo 3.
This mission's important, John. I want you to come with me to help me lead the team. What do you say, John?
I put in my time.
What's that mean?
It means my war's over. He never draws first blood. He only fights back. The first time was for himself. The second time was for his country. This time,
Rambo, something went wrong.
it's for his friend.
Brilliant.
Which I haven't seen for a long, long time. I think widely regarded to be pretty much a turkey.
Yeah.
I'm about halfway through. I don't see any turkey here at all. This is top quality. This is good stuff.
I remember vividly him healing that gunshot wound with like gunpowder from a bullet that he busts open and then
not got to
sets
that
it on
bit yet.
fire. I just remember that vividly.
I do remember that bit from having seen it previously, but I haven't got to that bit on the I haven't seen it for ages. Haven't got to that on the rewatch yet. But it's very, very 80s, which is a good thing. That opening scene where he's stick fighting against the Mutai guy.
Oh, yeah.
And he's giving the money to the monks that he wins. And
Yeah.
Colonel Troutman is in Afghanistan and he's been captured. Now John Jay's got to go in and save him. But for an action movie from the 80s, the script isn't actually that bad. The direction and some of the cinematography is pretty good. And maybe the turkeyness is coming in the second half. But anyway, that's not even what I'm here. The reason was I went back after picking the kid up from school, first week at school this week, picked her up after, put her down, bath, whatever, and story time. I thought, right, I'll quickly finish off Rambo 3 before going on to the podcast. Virgin Media, not starting up. Just in a constant reboot cycle.
Oh.
So it's starting up. And then, actually, but the reason that led me to believe that was, or to know that something was wrong, was I was in the living room with the kid, we were reading a story, and she said, "What's that sound, Daddy?" And I was like, "All be quiet." I say, "All be quiet." Me and you, be quiet.
Quiet, all of you. We're approaching the Tyrannosaur paddock.
And it was like, not me and you on the podcast,
Oh, no,
I was talking about me and her.
And then you looked at there was on the table there was a glass of water and you could see a ripple every now and again, right? Yeah.
And I could hear from the TiVo box, from the Virgin box, I could hear this. It was making an actual sound. I was like, where's that coming from? And tracked it down. Internally, the box was making this sound. So I turned the TV on, and then to see, if Virgin was working, it was just in a constant turning off, turning on to every 2 minutes, just a reboot cycle.
Weird.
It was the hard drive inside. I've just got off, just before the podcast started, I got off the phone to Virgin, giving them a rant saying, well, look, what's going on? I'm in the middle of watching Rambo 3. I've got to talk about it on the podcast. The guy did not know what I was talking about, so I had to educate him on Rambo for 5 minutes. So hopefully he's going out to check it out now. And great soundtrack on that. And he said, but immediately as soon as I said, this blue light's flashing, this red light is coming on and off, and it's making this sound, I actually held the phone up to the box and said, listen to this, punk. And he was listening to it, and immediately he said, oh yeah, the hard drive's bust. I said, okay, well, how am I going to watch Rambo 3? Download it illegally or something? Or, purchase it on Amazon Prime or something like that? I don't know. And he said, I'll get a new box out to you, it'll be with you on Thursday.
Thursday?
Thursday, that's no good to me, is it? So, yeah.
Thursday?
So, Virgin Media
Get
is
that
my...
out next day delivery, mate.
Yeah, exactly. So,
oh, I can't stand this crap, honestly. Actually, what day is it? It's Tuesday. Yeah, next day delivery.
Yeah, I suppose Thursday's not too bad,
crap.
but anyway, that's what it pissed me off at the time. But there you go. I'll tell you what I want to do. I want to talk about some G.I. Joe comics.
Comic talk, oh, comic talk. Larry Hammer writes them, Chief and Chris discuss them, whoa. Comic talk, oh, comic talk. Larry Hammer writes them, Chief and Chris discuss them, whoa.
So,
I love how we leave a gap. It's really cute, as if like the music's actually playing live. I think it's really adorable.
This week we are digging in to 120, 121, 122. After a little bit of debate between myself and Diagnostic, we are going to include 123.
It was my fault, really, because I looked at that last issue and I just felt it's too attached to the story. It concludes everything, but then there are like little strands that start new stories. But I just felt that it's a good natural conclusion.
Yeah, because I actually did say on the last episode that we were going to include 123. Yeah. When I read ahead, I messaged you separately and said I'm not sure we should include it. And my reason for not wanting to, but possibly not to include it was that all the ninja stuff had there was no ninja stuff in 123, and it was just really about Cobra Commander chasing the Joes away and the introduction of Cesspool, who plays a big part later on. But I guess it is kind of a concluding part, I guess.
Well, it does say at the end of 122 to be concluded. So I kind of I feel like it's trying to naturally conclude the storyline.
And then at the end of 123 it says to be continued.
Exactly.
Yeah. Work that out. But anyway, we're going to include 123. Looking at covers, I've got 120 here in front of me. You've got Baroness and Destro facing forwards with some red ninjas hanging down, standing up.
This is the first Wildman cover, right?
This is the first Wildman issue on interiors and first cover, yeah.
Cool. Yeah, and it looks pretty dope.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think it's his best one. I don't like the way he's drawn Baroness there.
Yeah.
Very wide boobs, kind of a
very
strange
90s.
Shouty face. Very 90s, yeah. Yeah, but it's not a bad cover, but I just don't think it's one of his best. 121.
I think the red ninjas look good. Sorry.
Yeah, 121 I much prefer.
Yeah,
this is Storm Shadow plus the ninja team again.
Beautiful.
red ninjas hanging upside down on the last one. Here you've got
Nunchuck.
I don't know, Nunchuck and Chabang.
Yeah,
hanging upside down. Snake Eyes looking really cool, even though you don't see his face. Storm Shadow looking cool. I really like that cover.
Yeah, and Dojo as well. With his
Dojo there,
sexy ponytail.
Yep.
Snake Eye's got his trench knives on his chest still.
Yeah, they're pretty cool as well, pretty beefy. 122, we have got Storm Shadow versus. Is it Slice or Dice? I can never tell them apart.
It's Slice, and I'll tell you what. An easy way of remembering this: there's an orange version of that particular figure of the red ninja. Slice, and it's nicknamed Orange Slice, which is like there you go. So hopefully that'll be easy to remember from now on.
Yeah, and then 123, you got Cobra Commander coming out of some sort of swampy land, and it says the secret of the sludge. So that tagline is nothing to do with the picture of Cobra Commander. That's relating to something completely different.
Yes, it is.
Which is a nice. Oh, what's this cover going to be about? It's quite intriguing, and then it's you've been duped.
I hate being duped on covers. I hate it.
Yeah. The basic premise of this arc is Destro and the Baroness reunited. They are returning to, Castle Destro is no longer there in Scotland, so they have now acquired from Cobra Commander the Silent Castle in
Transcarpathia,
yes, which is, I guess, somewhere in Eastern Europe. They have acquired this. They've gone back there to have their new non-terrorist lives. And what they find is there's something in the basement. It's loads of red ninjas, these other guys we mentioned, Slice and Dice, and the Joes are on hand to bail them out. And then that's pretty much the basis of this arc.
Pretty much, yeah. I mean, you've got G.I. Joe are there, in actual fact, to support Destro.
Yes, well, this is one of the things I was going to bring up. I was unclear on the motive there. There's a G.I. Joe ground team which has quite a few new vehicles. I think we've got? We've got the Brawler, the Badger,
and the Battle Wagon.
And just so you can get some toy talk in early this episode, these vehicles never had designated drivers, or did they?
None of them did, I don't think. Okay. Badger, Brawler, no, I don't think any of them did.
And was that a thing? Because did we have some vehicles recently introduced that also didn't have designated drivers?
Yeah, like if they were a certain size, they didn't often get them. And coming into, I suppose, that era of the 90s, you do have, they're not like trying to save money necessarily, but it does save a lot of money when you're not producing a specific figure for the vehicles. A really good bonus for for like parents going into toy stores with their kids. If their kid wanted, like a toy, then there's a lot of value to be had if there's an action figure with it. So that was like the kind of key thing that G.I. Joe had over a lot of toy lines out there. And as it got into the 90s or like later on, they started kind of doing away, not completely, but they started minimizing that aspect.
Yeah. I've got a list of a few things I liked and wasn't so keen on this arc, but a few things I want to bring up here is Cobra Commander is seen in his new... It's almost like he wants to be Destro in that sort of colour scheme of his new battle armour.
The one I talked about that on a few episodes.
Yeah, the horrible one.
Yeah.
And he actually ditches that very quickly.
Which is odd, because
it's almost like 2 issues later, he's out of it.
It felt like a continuity error as opposed to a specific let's get him out of those clothes kind of thing. I felt like it almost happened within the similar scene of where he was, but I could be wrong, and we'll see that as we go through the issues again.
I think that's just Larry not liking this outfit and wanting to get him back into his regular duds.
That, and they're just doing the toy thing again. So there's a Talking Battle Commander, Cobra Commander, that came out around that time, and he was wearing basically in his old school blues again. So that's why he returns to that kind of that costume, because that's the figure that was on the shelves at the time. Talking Battle Commander, Cobra Commander.
Yep. He does have one good bit in the beginning, in that when he's in that outfit. Quite funny. Him and Destro are effectively just signing papers and being very civil to each other, considering he's just put a 20 million hit out, or whatever it was, 10 million hit on Destro's head and wanting him dead, and now they're just kind of chatting, signing papers, and Destro wants Cobra to sign over full ownership of the Silent Castle, and Cobra Commander's got a pen out and he's like, no problem, haven't used that drafty old pile in ages, so hard to get up to those dismal mountains with no roads, where do I sign?
And then they
Just
release a Baroness
funny.
and she punches him in the
Yeah, right.
Although it's really difficult to see from that angle in that panel where she does actually hit him, where she whaps him in the whaps, because it looks like she's punching from like up to down. Do you know what I mean? Like, I know that's obviously where he is, but because he's bent over when the connection happens, it just looks really unnatural. So it's hard to see where she's punched him. I think he's icing his balls later on, so I thought that was brilliant. Also, something has to be mentioned. It's the first example of not having an initial splash page, but we do get one a few pages in.
Oh, you're right. Yes, you're right.
We get that title splash page, but it's like 4 pages into the issue, isn't it?
Yeah. When they're flying on the copters into the castle.
Good use of the battle copters there. Like, kind of, they're a bit, it's a bit of a wonky premise. The battle copters, they're a bit exposed and a bit rubbish. But obviously, because there were toys, those toys were out there. It's interesting that Destro's like, I'm going to need to borrow some battle copters. So it's that's a good touch.
So 2 things here. We didn't actually establish in that little chat why the Joes are supporting Destro here.
Well, they've kind of been in and out in cahoots with Destro in a weird way, because he went straight. And Hawk says, let's get with the program here. Cobra Commander may have finagled some double cross, and it's our job to back up Destro and get him out of there if that's the case. So it's an odd premise that they're in, but that's the situation we're in. They're almost like Destro and the Joes are kind of like, I don't know, they realise that he's probably more beneficial, or the jugglers are probably more in his pocket than they are, and the Joes are just doing what they're told.
Yeah. And the other thing to note here is Hawk back in his original outfit as well.
Yeah, they're flip-flopping all over the place with the outfits, aren't they? It's quite ridiculous.
I think he just had 1 issue, did he? Or 2 issues in that new outfit. But we also see a couple of new... I thought they were Cobra Ninjas, but they're not actually Cobra Ninjas, Slice and Dice. They're associated with the Red Ninja Clan.
Yeah, they're the masters of the Red Ninja.
Although they labelled on their toy figures as Cobra.
Cobra Dice, Cobra Slice, yeah.
Because here, they clearly mentioned that they are not Cobra.
Yeah. I think that changes over time, but initially they're Red Ninja Masters. And also, you talked about Hawk's gear getting changed. Stalker's back to his original uniform by the end of this issue, or one of the issues when he turns up, and then flips back to his Tundra gear again. And that is a continuity error for sure.
Yes.
That is a problem. But we also get the fact, I mentioned it on the cover, but Snake Eye's rocking those trench knives on his chest when he doesn't have them on his outfit normally. That's still a thing in this issue. It's quite funny. And rock and roll. Oh yeah, okay. So we'll get to that in a sec, won't we?
I don't mind that he has those knives though.
No, they're cool. They're cool as hell. It's just interesting that they've continued with this design that doesn't exist in the toy form. It's like two figures merged into one.
Yeah.
We get a new version of Dusty as well in this one too.
Well, that's on my list of one of the things I don't like.
You don't like Dusty's new
Cannot
look?
stand that new look. It's one of the worst things I've ever seen in a comic.
It's weird that they went with the beret, isn't it?
Don't get it. Just don't like it.
I don't like it.
I'm flicking through this issue, and there's some really nice, like we said, this is Wildman's first issue on board.
Amazing art.
There's some great fight scenes here, especially when Destro... So here's another thing that's going on. The Baroness has been brainwashed with the brainwave scanner, and she is now being... she is luring Destro down into the basement to the lower regions of the castle, because Cobra Commander knows there's another brainwave scanner down there, and she's going to get the Baroness to get Destro into the brainwave scanner and get him all tricked out and brainwaved up as well.
Yeah.
And this is where we see these red ninjas. They come crawling out of the woodwork. Some great fight scenes here. The action is depicted really well. Destro's shooting guys in the head. Not that's a good thing, but, it's a quite a dramatic panel. He's got swords, and there's guys with nunchucks, and there's quite a bit where he says, you are that certain you can defeat me? And the ninja's gone, absolutely. A dangerous assumption, and he wrist rockets him.
There's something hidden in this comic that I thought was really, really cool by Larry, and it's during the conversation between Baroness and Destro before they go downstairs.
Yep.
And that she's talking about the fact that he's got this amazing chess set, and she kind of focuses on it. And she's like, wherever did you have these made? And he was like, he basically says, a sculptor in Brooklyn who carves the miniatures used by credit card companies for their holograms, he uses, and then he's cut off because the Baroness drops one of them on the floor. Now, what he's referring to there is really, really cool, and that's basically that it's a reference basically to Bill Merkline, who was the sculptor for numerous Hasbro properties, including G.I. Joe early on. He was hugely famous for his work on holographic elements used on credit cards as well, so they even put that in there. And this is even the kicker is that he was involved as well in creating all of the sculpts for the holographic elements for the Visionaries toy line. And in fact, Merklin was named after him in the show on Visionaries. So the wizard Merklin in the Visionaries is named after Bill Merkline, who did the sculpting for G.I. Joe and the Visionaries and credit cards and all that kind of shit. And it's amazing. And one more little element on that is that my wife Kate had dinner with him at JoeCon once as well, and she said it was the most awesome dinner ever, like where she just talked to him about art and sculpture and all sorts of cool stuff, and cool. the dude's amazing. So yeah, I love that Larry's put that in that issue, and it's a lovely little hidden gem in those comics.
That's quality. That's really cool. And actually there's a few callbacks in these issues, like you mentioned there, the chess set which we saw in issue 21. There's also, they find the ball and sickle from one of the ninjas, which was also from issue 21.
The red ninjas are in there.
The red ninjas are there, they were there previously. There's actually one bit that wasn't a callback, and where they say this castle's impregnable, there's only one way in, which is up the front door, but clearly Snake Eyes found another way in.
There's loads
there
of
is
ways
another way
in.
in.
There's tons of ways in.
Yeah.
But it's not even. There's an amazing panel piece where you were talking about them getting shot in the face. He wrist rockets one of the red ninjas, and they whoomp and obliterate. Basically, it's this is a really brutal issue. I thought more so than most issues we'd seen up until this point. I mean, there's some blood splatter. There's like some real brutal fighting, isn't there?
Yeah. There's another bit that confused me a little bit. You get Slice and Dice, and they're making their way through the castle through these secret entrances and stuff, and he says we must proceed with caution, or we put at risk a complex endeavour that has taken many years of preparation and involves individuals who are quite volatile, to say the least. Now, I've read a few issues up ahead, and I can't really see what he's talking about.
Could it be the, spoiler alert, the Firefly introduction?
Maybe, but does he... I haven't actually got to that issue yet on the reread, but does he mention there that he knows Firefly or doesn't know Firefly when Firefly pops up? I can't remember. Anyway.
I feel like they're all in cahoots, the Cobra guys. Anyway, we'll find out when we get there. But I agree with you. Sometimes these things are dropped in. I think Larry's writing, thinking ahead, and then just forgets about that and does something else. Yeah, because that's very much what he does in terms of his writing style a lot of the time. He just makes it up as he goes along. I mean, everyone does when they write, but like literally as he goes along, he doesn't know what's happening, a couple of pages ahead, let alone a couple of issues ahead.
Yeah. Couple of other bits I liked were there's a scene where Destro kind of goes a little bit Iron Man because his mask, he's got secret panels on his mask and he can fire different stuff, and he's got holographic laser vision or something.
Yeah, he kind of switches it to like attack mode or something, doesn't he?
Yeah, I thought that was quite cool.
I love it when he says the plot coagulates. I love that. Like instead of thickens. Brilliant.
Some real cool bits of dialogue actually. There's one I like in 122 where Destro says love cancels out brainwashing or something like that, because he's gonna submit himself to the brainwave scanner voluntarily, and Baroness can't believe it, and love cancels out brainwashing. And then there's another bit of dialogue which I didn't really understand in issue 120 where the Ninja Force team standing on the wall and they think they've been spotted, so he's like, right, no one move for 1 hour, and he says we have to lie doggo. What's doggo mean?
I believe that's a military term for like let me just double check while we are recording. Doggo meaning, hopefully I don't get like dogging. I don't think it's dogging. Oh yeah, remain motionless and quiet to escape detection.
All right, cool, I'll take that.
Basically doggo means to lay the still.
All right, cool. One thing I wasn't overjoyed with is the feeling that Cobra's a bit, they felt a little bit small time, because they're kind of sending in
all of a sudden
they
now
send
they're
in
like
six troopers, all of different varieties. I think you've got a Saw, a Heat, a Frag, a Toxo, a Telly, and a Knight, maybe an Alley. I don't know, maybe 6 or 7. But rather than sending in, choppers, I like seeing loads of either Vipers or just Cobra troopers. But that feels like a thing of the past now. Yeah, it's just these kind of specialists, but they only send in a handful of them.
Yeah, they're doing like, again, this is all like, toys on shelves. Basically, it's like we need to get as many of them in that comic as possible, and this is Larry's way of doing it. It's like, well,
he still could have written in, a chopper full of Vipers. Regular Vipers.
I suppose it's to highlight, it's to show off and highlight particular, almost making them characters like they did with the Saw Viper. I bet like earlier on they were kind of saying, well, we got, people seem to like it when we made the Saw Viper more of a character, so let's try and make individual troopers more like characters. And that's what happens in this, isn't it? It's like you've got like one of each, and they're all doing like certain things, like the Televiper's almost leading them and telling them what to do and all that kind of stuff, and then the other guys. I know what you mean, though. I'd prefer it as well, definitely.
Yeah. I'm just flicking through this back end of issue 122. Great fight scenes. They're coming down the stairs.
In issue 121, we get an opening splash page and then an opening double splash, and then like a double splash page that follows that. So it's like amazing that it's almost like they're making up for the last issue. But yeah, you're right. The battle down the stairs is wicked.
Battle down the stairs, because what's happening now is everyone's kind of met up inside the castle. Ooh. Oh, that's a cool bit I really love, is the when the ninja team do a bridge, because they're effectively on the side of a cliff, and they think the only access point is no one's crazy enough to go up the side of the cliff, and then the castle is however many meters or feet or whatever away from it, and they have to get on each other's shoulders. One guy puts some pitons or pinions or whatever, a human ladder, and then they just kind of gracefully fall and create a human ladder. It's amazing. I love it.
And that's the easy part. I love that bit.
Yeah. But now they're all together in the castle. So you've got the Ninja Force, you've got Slice and Dice, you've got the Red Ninjas, you've got Destro and the Baroness, and meanwhile you've got the Joes outside engaged in a firefight with all these Vipers who've flown in. So it's pretty much going off everywhere we look.
I thought it was interesting that the Heat Viper uses his rocket launcher upside down. Yep. Because it's clearly designed to be used the other way when looking at the toy and the card art and all that kind of stuff. And even to the point where there's writing on it that says Fang, and that's upside down on the drawing. I'm like, why is he holding it upside down?
But that suggests to me that that's how it should be fired.
No, it's not. That's the thing. Like the original design, the card art, the everything about all of the lead up materials to where this toy was born. That's how it's used. The handle is the other way around. It's to be quirky and different.
I'm saying the toy's wrong and the comic's right.
Well, that's the thing. The comic can't be right because it's not the origin point. It comes after everything else, and they use the reference of the toys. So clearly, this is a case where Andrew Wildman has got the toy reference.
I'm saying Larry Hama has said the toy designer got the design wrong. That's not how that would be fired.
Again, Larry didn't have that control. He was just breathing life into what was created by Hasbro. Larry wasn't creating the characters and then Hasbro were making the toys. Hasbro were making these things.
Yeah.
Larry breathes life into them with these stories, and the artists draw them, that kind of way. So maybe Larry has said something to Andrew.
I think he has said something. He's saying possibly, from a military point of view, this would be fired over the shoulder because otherwise it would be too heavy or something like that.
If it existed.
Yeah. Yeah. Ninja Force don't switch into Ninja Force. They don't actually do much, do they? I'm thinking, cool, really. Ninja Force, la la la. But in actual fact, they don't really get any dialogue. Obviously, one of them can't talk. But, I guess you want Snake Eyes and Storm Shadow front and centre doing a lot of the fighting. But Ninja Force feel like they've got a presence without actually having a presence.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, their infiltration is kind of like a cool thing, but for the most part, they don't. And they have that one scene when they're all in a fight. They're all fighting and they're doing stuff. But you're right. There's not that much about the individuals in that team that really stand out, and they almost become like a mess of one person. Like that group, that team are just Snake Eyes and Storm Shadow and some others. It's not like you don't really see Nunchuck getting much character development, or Dojo or Shebang. You don't really get that in this short period of time, and that's the problem, isn't it? Really, they're not really being explored in this issue. Something else I got to say: how unreliable is the Badger? That vehicle, man, is
for some reason it's just not in gear or something like that, or it's just started rolling down the hill.
I know. It's just
so what? The brakes don't work.
Nowhere.
The gears don't work.
It's nuts.
The accelerator, I think that maybe that works, but oh my god, leave that at home next time, boys.
I know it constantly them over, and then I think it's blown up anyway, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
One of them does, anyway.
Paralyzers in. Meanwhile, Destro's been making his way up to the upper battlements, and he's thrown some switches, and then 2 pages later, holy moly, Castle Destro, or a better version.
I didn't know he lived in Autobot City, honestly. No, I don't know.
That is craziness.
He's basically Metroplex, what he does, isn't it? He just pulls the 7th, whatever he pulls like a crank. And the whole thing like transforms into this new castle.
It's unbelievable, Jeff!
Even to the point of, on that page 24, where it's all standing and looking good, there's plaques of Destro and the Baroness on the front, just above the portcullis. Somehow he had those built inside the Silent Castle.
Inside Chief Silent Castle. Ooh.
Amazing.
We get version 2 Toxo Viper. I forgot to mention that. So that's new. We get the version 2 Toxo Viper.
Yes.
It's introduced randomly in this particular pointless for it to be utilised story. And then we actually get them for real, like in a couple of issues where it makes sense. But that's interesting. And also Rock and Roll is back to wearing his original version 2 colours. He's not wearing his Sonic Fighter colours anymore.
Yep. And in typical Larry style, it's all wrapped up in one page. So the Joes are going off down the hill, being chased by Cobra. Slice and Dice have retreated. The Red Ninjas have gone. Destro and Baroness are happy. And now the ninja team are just left to... I guess they go off in search of some of the ninjas, don't they?
Yes. I have to say a couple of things before we finish this particular issue and move on to the next one. There's a beautiful, like, full-page spread of the Ninja Force fighting Slice and the Red Ninjas, and I think that is, like, one of my favourite. I love that. It's gorgeous. There's another great shot of all of the Aspids coming into to land, and it's just like it's just brilliant. I love that. And then the other thing I was going to say was, can we talk about Big Ben? Because
if we have to,
he's pulling out all of the British colloquialisms again, isn't he? Like, all right, I'm all right, mate. But then he says this thing, right? I'm not sure if it's in this issue or if it's in 123. So, like, as you just said, so they're all hossing down the hill, basically running away from Cobra now, the Joes, aren't they? They're escaping the Cobra paralyzer tanks. Destro and the Baroness are chilling, and the Ninja Force are kind of like, well, I suppose we better make our way to do what we got to do. And then we get into the next, I think it is in the next one. And Big Ben says something along the lines of, "Are you barmy?" But he's spelled B-A-L-M-Y instead of B-A-R-M-Y.
Oh, balmy, yeah, you're a bit hot, are you?
Yeah, so he's hot as opposed to mental, which is what balmy means, B-A-R-M-Y. So I think there's a mistake there in what Larry thought that word. Well, he's using it's the same sounding word, but it's the wrong context there, isn't it?
Yeah. I don't like Big Ben, but I find him quite funny, I guess.
I love Big Ben, just don't like his voice in the comics.
Right.
If he wasn't so over the top like Cockney, then I think it would be brilliant. But instead, just that doesn't need to happen. People, you don't need to really over egg that pudding, do you?
No, exactly. Yeah, so we are including.
It's taking the piss, mate.
We are including issue 1, 2, 3, which is what we're talking about now. The ninja stuff is kept to a minimum. I think there's only a couple of pages. I'm looking now. I think it's only 2 pages, possibly. Where
it's a couple of pages.
That they follow in Slice and Dice. There's a load of red ninjas, and it turns out that there's a leader. That's a cool page actually, where there's a throwing dirk comes down, a ninja throwing dirk that came from above, and Snake Eyes has chock swooped it, chock shooped it with his sword. And then there's ninjas with they got sort of battle armour-ish on, and there's some leader in a red and yellowish helmet. He's
As warlord of the Red Ninjas, I command it. Yeah, cool helmet.
Yeah. But that's all we get from the ninja stuff. The main bulk of the issue is about like you said, the Joes running from Cobra, which I thought was fairly weak.
Yeah.
And the other bit that I like is I'm a massive fan of Cesspool.
Oh yeah, this is cool, isn't it? The introduction of Cesspool. So he's almost like introduced off panel, and then as it comes in, you've got Zorana going nuts because he apparently has built loads of sludge factories around Cobra Island, and he was only supposed to build one.
What the hell is going on here? He's just I don't know. What's his gig? His gig is he's some weirdo who is making profit from sludge.
Well, basically, he is weaponizing toxic waste is what the thing is, and obviously the gimmick in the toys was that they all squirted water, but and when you got the water on the figures, they would change colours and show patterns and all that kind of stuff. So there was a cute gimmick to the toys, and because of that, Larry had to figure out a way to kind of incorporate that. So he decided that instead of it obviously squirting water was ridiculous, so this sludge was something that they create this toxic waste, or they clean it up and then they utilize it, weaponize it, and sell it back to people, or sell it back to companies, and sell it back to militaries as weaponized sludge. But he's basically he's setting up all these sludge factories to kind of create more toxic waste for use in that sense. And that's where we also get introduced to the Eco Warriors, and Flint is pulled away from his kind of involvement. So the Hercules turns up to pick the Joes up, but Duke runs off the back and he's like, "Sorry guys, you're gonna have to book it the long way. We can only pick up Flint because he's got a different." We've got to speak to him, and he's got a different mission. And so they're all like, "Oh, okay, great." So Flint jumps on this giant Hercules, and inside you've got Ozone and Clean Sweep, and they joke about. And I think this is a good way that Larry incorporated this ridiculous element into the comics. And they even joke about the fact that, "Hey Flint, you've got your own ridiculously insane color scheme uniform to wear," and all that kind of stuff. It's really, really cute.
Yeah, we'll have more of those eco dudes next episode. Just jumping back to Cesspool quickly, he's got my favourite line from all these issues we've covered so far, and it's when Zorana is turned up in a hammerhead and she's yelling at him, and he says, "Are you threatening me with this ridiculous little hammerhead, Zorana?" And then my favourite line is, "You're talking to the CEO who outsmarted 7 federal investigating committees." Amazing.
I got a big erection. No, I got like a buzz reading this issue. I thought it was quite cute in certain places, and I got quite excited to see the beginning of some other aspects in the comic, being set up.
I'd be interested to know when the toy of Cesspool came out, or when the design was readily known, because he's very, very Cable-esque in his look, as in X-Man, X-Force Cable. because I don't know who copied who here. I don't know when Cable first appeared, whether toy designers copied the Cable look, whoever Rob Liefeld copied the set. I don't know if Rob Liefeld would have copied the cesspool look, but
so I can tell you that his first appearance as Cable was, I think, in 90, because he was a newborn infant in 86, I think, Cable, and so cesspool came afterwards in 91.
Okay.
He was actually, believe it or not, his head sculpt was based on a guy at Hasbro at the time called Vinny D'Oliva, and he was like one of the marketing guys, like quite big at Hasbro at the time, and they jokingly modelled the character and the head sculpt and everything on Vinny, who thought it was hilarious. And in actual fact, there was again cesspool was going to be in one of those live action commercials that I sent you recently, that Kirk was talking through. Vinny was going to be cesspool in it, and there's pictures of him dressed up with the scar on his face and the white hair and everything. It looks amazing. And they, for some reason, they never used the cesspool footage that they took. So unfortunately, there's hopefully there's out there somewhere there's some Vinny D'Oliva as cesspool footage that never got used for a G.I. Joe commercial. But that's cesspool, who basically I'm talking toys already, but basically that is cesspool.
Yeah, big fan of cesspool. He's kind of like in a way, a bit of a jokey character, but he's a slimy, and no pun intended, kind of slimy, sleazy, sludgy kind of hard, and he's probably going to take no prisoners and do for you.
There is a panel coming up during his flashback origin in one of the issues that is one of my favourite panels of all time because of the hilarious sound effect word they've put on the page. I think it was my banner picture for months back in the day because it's just so hilarious.
Cool. We'll look forward to that one.
Yeah, no spoilers.
So all that kind of cesspool eco stuff is kicking off, and I kind of like that. Like I say, the Cobra's chasing the Joes. I don't know. They focus on this kind of laser guiding system.
It's lazy
thing
is what it is
for just no purpose. I don't feel like Cobra Commander would have chased the Joes into the foggy forest with just him and a couple of paralyzers. I don't think he'd have done that on his own. Doesn't feel like something he'd do as a character. Anyway, the Joes get out, like you said, because obviously Flint has now made his way off and the others are making their own way home. And then Cobra Commander gets picked up, and then he gets informed about an issue in Broca Beach, which, lest we forget, is still going strong as a Cobra front. And it turns out that drugs are in Broca Beach, baby.
It's funny that they make out that this is bad as well. Of all the things that are going on in Broca Beach, this is the worst element of it. It's funny how Headman and the Headhunters become everyone's enemy. It was such a obvious drugs are bad MK type scenario, wasn't it? It was very much a drugs are so bad even Cobra want them out of their town. It was that kind of after school special kind of thing, wasn't it?
Yep, that's it exactly. But I mean, like we said earlier, this will be delving into the ramifications of that in next episode. So stay tuned for that. But meanwhile, what's your yo-joage on this, fine sir?
Ups and downs again. I think there are some aspects I really like about it. I thought the art's really nice and really vibrant and really enjoyable to read. It's not, some of the dialogue is exceptional, and some of it's really dog. So it goes up and down dramatically. I would probably have to say overall the issues, I did enjoy it. There's some elements that are throwaway, so it probably only gets to a low 7 for me.
Low 7. I think I am probably going to be in the same ballpark. Like you say, it's a nice introduction from Andy Wildman on art. I think he pulls out all the stops. I think that issue 1, 2, 3 was a slight, not quite as good as the others art-wise, but still good. Nice callbacks to issue 21, which I liked. Some nice bits there, but I think a low 7 is probably where I sit as well.
Also, Ambush is in this. You wouldn't bloody know it, would you?
Yeah,
he's tucked away in the battle wagon, I think.
He gets name checked. He does get name checked.
Yeah, you see him twice, but it's really slim pickings on the Ambush coverage,
and he doesn't actually do anything specific. So next time, the ninja stuff doesn't appear, but we get the Eco Warrior Cesspool and the Headhunter drug stuff covers issues 124 and 125. So we'll definitely be doing that as a 2-issue arc. And then I guess we'll just tell people maybe read another couple ahead as well, 126, 127, because I haven't read ahead enough to know where the next story break is. But anyway, you do the reading and we'll do the discussing.
It's worked so far. We tried it the other way, but it didn't work.
Yeah, exactly.
He finds the bombs, I drive the car. We tried the other way, but it didn't work.
You've talked it a fair chunk, but I'm eager to hear what else you've got to say because it's time for Chris Talks Toys.
Chris talks about toys, ho ho. Chris talks about G.I. Joe. He talks about all the things from the comic book and the animated show. Chris talks about toys. Chris talks about toys. Chris talks about toys. Chris talks about toys.
I can safely say I'll be talking about, drum roll please, Night
like
Creeper.
Yeah.
It was, yeah. Drum roll machine gun, please. So I'm going to be talking about the Night Creeper because this is one of those, like, it was like the Tomahawk I did last week, which isn't out yet, but it will be by the time you hear this. It's weird. I hate how we're living in the Matrix, basically. But yeah, it's similar to the Tomahawk where I've kind of put it off, but now I want to talk about it because I'm worried that we're not going to see them again. And we do get a cheeky glimpse of the Night Creepers in that first issue 120 when they're dropping the Baroness off and they're doing this whole trade with Destro and Cobra Commander. So the Night Creeper was released in 1990 in the United States and in 1992, I believe, in the UK. Now, I picked this up, I think, in either 91 or 92 in the States. So it was either already out in the UK, but it didn't matter because I wasn't aware it was out there. Got it in the US, I believe, and I fell in love with this figure immediately. One was the concept around them. Now, again, like, you got to imagine, I wasn't reading the comics, so I didn't have the other media to back it up. So I just had this figure with the card art, which was gorgeous, and this file card, which was super interesting and intriguing. And the design on this guy was so cool that I was like, I'm in. I'm all in on this dude. I'd have an army of them if I could afford it at however old I was, like 12, 11. And I just thought it was the bee's knees. Now, I'll read through the file card first. There's no difference between the UK and the United States in terms of written content. There's there's the usual, like, slightly different colour background of the card and so on and so forth. But for the most part, they're very, very similar. Now, it basically says, codename Night Creeper, Cobra Ninja. Captured Cobra documents revealed the existence of a contract between Cobra Commander and a syndicate of high-tech ninjas. It is believed that these so-called Night Creepers have been given the task of conducting all field intelligence and covert ops or operations for Cobra. All investigations into the structure and origin of the Night Creepers have run into dead ends or resulted in the mysterious disappearance of the investigators. And the quote is, all evidence seems to indicate that the Night Creepers have the drive and scruples of a Wall Street stock manipulator, the lethal skills of a master martial artist, and the stealthy talents of a cat burglar. To make matters worse, they're backed by the latest and most sophisticated anti-detection and weapons technology in the world. It's as if Attila the Hun had a black belt, an MBA, and was armed with lasers. So it was that really drew me in. Like, I'm thinking, high-tech ninjas, really cool, like all of these different angles that you could kind of like work with in terms of in terms of the comics and cartoons, and I was just so excited to see Night Creepers in every single facet. And unfortunately they didn't really, other than like the comic and in the Deke cartoon, which didn't really have them portrayed in the best light, I have to say, that again, like, kind of disappointed me because I thought there was so much to these guys. I remember them being used in a modern comic. I want to say kind of like Devil's Due Image maybe did them, and it was a really, really cool issue that they kind of came into. And again, I was just like, oh man, the Night Creepers need to be used way more often. They've got them in terms of design. They've got this the toy was amazing. So they've got these amazing color scheme of like lots of different purples and almost like purpley reds and lilacs and light greys and silver and black and basically this insane deco that just works everywhere. They've got these camo trousers which are like light grey and then they've got dark grey and maroon kind of camouflage on them. It's just absolutely superb. And then the helmet was cool. It had like this one kind of like stretched oval visor, a domed kind of head, but then like wrappings and almost like a hooded shawl that kind of tucked into it was really hard to explain, but they're covered facially, so again the mystery is like there. The accessories they came with were incredible. These kind of like, one was a wavy sword and the other sword was like, it was horrible. It was like a twig with like different bits of other twig coming off it. And you could just imagine it being delved in, like going into skin, and like if you pulled it out, it would just cause all sorts of damage. So it was one of those weapons that goes in and probably doesn't come out again. Do you know what I mean? It's horrible. They had a backpack where the wavy sword could slot into, these little pegs on the back. And they had this amazing crossbow, which had obviously a crossbow bolt, crossbow arrow in ready to go, and then 2 either side of it. 5 in total on show on top and on the actual crossbow, and it's just awesome. It's an amazing toy, and it's just again one of those ones that just blew me away design wise. And it's more the concept that gets me, I think, every time. And they have had, I don't really talk about usually with Chris Talks toys because I like to keep my options open for any different versions. But the Night Creeper has been done in a different deco since, and also got a second version, which I may hold on to for when we get to those, because I know they're in the comic a little bit later on as well.
Well, there you go, Night Creepers. No, I'm a fan of these dudes. Love it. I love the bit where they're like, right, has everyone got their coffee? Some dude says, pass the sweetener. Love it.
Pass the chemical sweetener, isn't
That's
it?
it. Pass the chemical sweetener. Yeah, brilliant. Love it. Good stuff, as always. One of my favourite bits, learning new stuff about things I don't know, which is always handy. There'll be more Chris Talks toys next week, I hope. Maybe Cesspool, maybe not.
I'll probably do Cesspool.
Okay. Well, you don't have to. Don't feel pressured into it.
I'm writing it down. I'm writing on my list.
I can always get another co-host, but don't worry about it.
Harsh.
No, I'm joking. I don't think I could, actually.
Dispensable.
But one thing that I can't do without you is British colloquialisms, a.k.a. over A.K.E. or A.K.A. A.K.A. over-egging the pudding.
We got a pudding, we're gonna egg it. We got a pudding, we're gonna over-egg it. We got a pudding, we got no criticisms. That means it's time for some British colloquialisms.
Sorry,
yes.
That made me lol.
Yes. I got up this morning. That's not it. That's not the British colloquialism. I think that's a phrase used the world around. I got up this morning and went outside to put the bins out or something like that about 7 o'clock, and I came back and I muttered to myself, oh, that's Brass Monkeys.
Brass Monkeys.
And there you go, that's my one. Brass Monkeys, a.k.a. cold.
A.k.a. egging the pudding.
Yeah. I don't know if you want to look it up or anything or not. It's up to you.
Yeah, might as well. Brass Monkeys. Here we go. The phrase cold enough to freeze the balls off or on a brass monkey is a colloquial expression used by some English speakers. The reference to the testes as the term balls is commonly understood to mean of the brass monkey appears to be a 20th century variant on the expression, prefigured by a range of references to other body parts, especially the nose and tail. During the 19th and 20th centuries, small monkeys cast from the alloy brass were very common tourist souvenirs from China and Japan. They usually, but not always, came in a set of 3 representing the 3 wise monkeys, carved in wood above the shrine of Tushugu in Nikko, Toshigi, Japan. These monkeys were often cast with all 3 in a single piece. In other sets they were made singly, although there was the usual number. Some sets of monkeys added a 4th with its hand covering its genitals. Old brass monkeys of this type are collector's items. It is often stated that the phrase originated from the use of a brass tray called a monkey to hold cannonballs on warships in the 16th to 18th centuries. Supposedly in a very cold temperature, the monkey would contract, causing the balls to fall off. However, nearly all historians and etymologists consider the story to be a myth. This story has been discredited by the US Department of the Navy. Etymologists may have them, so they don't really know. They don't really know. But yeah, my one, and I've completely forgotten what it is now because I was too busy faffing around with that, and it is jammy. My
Jammy.
one is jammy.
Yeah, you've been jammy.
Yeah, so not obviously covered and filled with or resembling jam, but when someone is jammy, they are considered to be lucky.
Yes, correct. Just a quick question here. Jam, is jam in the United States?
They call it jelly.
They call jam jelly and they call jelly jello.
Yes.
Okay, weirdos.
Correct.
Okay.
Or preserves. They often call them, and then whatever, strawberry preserve or...
Right.
Yeah.
Well, UK, sometimes we use conserve, don't we?
Yeah, we do.
It's a raspberry conserve.
Yes.
Neither makes sense to me, preserve or conserve. But
so whenever you hear
jam.
the term peanut butter jelly sandwich or whatever, they just mean peanut butter and jam.
Got it. Okay.
Which is actually really nice, believe it or not.
Right. Yeah. I like both those things.
Put them together. Yes. Okay. Yeah. So mine's jammy.
Okay. If I can, I'd like to ask you a question.
Chief asked Chris a question. Chief asked Chris a question. What'll he say? What'll he do when Chief asked Chris a question?
I actually sway and wave my hands as I'm singing that each week.
Oh. I can't believe there wasn't a page in the issue that you could test me on this week.
Page in the issue I could test you on.
Where...
Oh, yes.
Flair basketball cards.
No, there is one for next week. I read that 2 issues ahead, and there is one in there I can test you on.
Cool.
So
cool.
Don't worry. I might even sing up a theme tune for it. What have I got to do now? Oh, yeah, I'll ask you a question. I made tomato soup today. True or false? No, that's not the question. The answer's true.
True.
Yeah.
Yes.
Ding, 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 ding.
Easy.
What is your preference for soups? Do you like them smooth or chunky?
Is this gonna be another one of those ones where people hate me because of my food preference?
You mean hate you more?
Wow. Wow.
Zing.
I can't argue with that. I think I'm universally hated throughout. I think
you're universally loved.
No, if this was a wrestling podcast, I would be the heel, wouldn't I? Basically.
No, I think we're like a face tag team.
Tag each other's faces.
Yeah.
Okay.
We've already established that I'm Macho Man and you're Miss Elizabeth. I mean Hogan.
No, you're right. You were right the first time. I'm going to shock you with my soup choice. It is an absolute belter that I had once at it's called The Hero in Burnham Overy Staithe in Norfolk. I'm not sure if you've ever heard of that place before. No. It's on the coast between Hunstanton and Cromer, around that way. Or between, let's just say it's near Hunstanton on the coast. And cute little place. I went in there and they shocked me. They had on the it sounded amazing, so I was like, yeah, I'll have that. It was curried parsnip or cream of curry parsnip soup. And I was like, that sounds amazing. I'll try it out. And I fell in love with it. It's unbelievable. It's like a thin soup. There's nothing chunky in it. It's very smooth, very creamy. It's, obviously the kind of sweet parsnip taste. And with a bit of curry kind of flavouring in there as well. It's unfrickin' real, mate.
Okay.
And Kate has to make it for me every now and again because it's just amazing.
Okay.
Yeah. And my mum makes a cracking version of it as well.
Okay. So the actual question was, do you prefer your soup smooth or chunky? Not smooth. What's your favourite flavour? The answer is smooth.
Yes.
Okay.
Because that's my favourite soup. So therefore...
Got it.
Therefore, thusly.
But if you're having a vegetable soup...
Oh, I love chunky veg, though.
You like chunky veg?
I do love chunky veg.
Right.
Sorry.
So you like it any which way, is what you're saying?
As long as it tastes good.
Yeah.
I must admit, I find them two different things in a weird way. I don't consider, even though they are soup, if they're too chunky, it almost becomes like a broth or like a stew.
Yeah.
And I don't mind that. I'm not against it. I love all of that. I just don't know what point it turns into something else. But in terms of your classic thin soup, like what is effectively just hot liquid, then it's got to be curry parsnip for me, and that smooth is a way for me. What about yourself?
Would that work?
Let me ask you a question.
Would that work with chip shop curry sauce?
Oh, I've ejaculated everywhere.
Do you think that would work?
Imagine a chip shop curry sauce soup.
Roasted parsnips, then blitzed up in a blender,
Oh,
poured up with some stock and then some chip shop curry sauce. I might do that actually,
mate. Can you send it to me as well, please?
Care package, yeah.
Yeah, send it in one of those like things they send lungs in so that they don't die on the way.
I'm not going to say done because I don't think I will do that. But
you son of a.
Or
just throw it all over the kitchen instead.
Yeah, I will. And with that said and done, no. Before we do that bit, you can catch us in all the usual places. It's Talking Joe Comics on Instagram. It's Talking_Joe on Twitter. Talking Joe Comics at gmail.com and Talking Joe G.I. Joe Podcast. Who is this Joe fella? You can get me on Twitter at Chiefy2Shoes if you want. That's Chiefy with a Y, number 2 shoes. And I think you can get hold of you somewhere as well.
Yes. Before I give all my info out, I'd like to quickly throw out a very quick shout out to a very long-term friend from back in the Dizzy. His name's James Griffith, and I know he's listening to this show eventually because he's rinsing through all of the episodes from start to finish. He was a fellow Joe fan back in the day, and quick story, when we were, I think, you'll have to kind of confirm when it was. I think it was in high school, very early on, like the first year, maybe the summer before first year, or maybe second year, I can't remember exactly. But basically, I cycled to his house to just hang out. And I didn't know this, lo and behold, he was going through a lot of his old stuff and he had loads of like G.I. Joe figures and comics and stuff like that. And I'm like, oh, you collect G.I. Joe stuff? And he was a big Warhammer guy as well. He loved Warhammer stuff too. So, you'd probably get on with him really well. He's an artist as well at the moment. And basically we basically just got to like playing around with all his gear, and he gave me his Lady J figure because I didn't have Lady J. And this Lady J figure had a broken crotch, broken thumbs, but I'm like, no, that's amazing, thank you so much. So he gave me his broken J, and some I think some comics as well, and I think I got the Scoop comic, that Special Missions one with no cover from him. So big shout out to James Griffith. Sorry for taking so long in doing the where can they find me thing, but shout out to James. Hope you're listening, buddy, and just big shout out to you for being an awesome fan of the show now. Hilarious.
That's Chris's quick shout out. Sorry.
Do you want to do one?
Well, welcome to the show, Jimmy boy. Nice to have you with us. No, I got no one. I don't care about anyone.
Okay. So you can catch me at Diagnostic80 on Twitter and Instagram. You can find me you can find the Full Force podcast on Podbean, iTunes, Stitcher, Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube, and of course Patreon, where you can give us money for cool things like extra bonus content. Oh, and music. I give out music for free.
Nice.
So there you go.
Do it. Get it done. If you want to join in with the show, you can join in if you want. If you can find out where I live somehow, and you can come around my house and come up into my loft and join in the show that way. But another way you can join in the show is by reading along or reading ahead, or doing some kind of reading anyway. Definitely read issues 124 and 125, and then if you've got some spare time, read another couple as well, because we might cover those next episode, we might not, who knows. I don't even know, Chris doesn't know, no one knows, but you will find out next week when you listen to the show, which isn't actually our next week, is actually our past week or something like that. But anyway,
such a head.
With all that said and done, we will see you down the road.
Bye. Yeah.
No.